Hello there, my name is JD. Welcome back to yet another episode of Weekly Update Wednesdays. In this week's video, I'm going to be touching on the subject of recording guitars. Whether should it be in mono or stereo? If you're new to this channel, a warm welcome to you, a big shout out and thank you to all the patrons who help to support the channel financially. If you haven't done so, please do click on the subscribe button down here. Also, don't forget to click on the notification bell so that you'll be updated every time I put out a brand new video. Sign up for the email list, and if you want to become a patron, head on down to www.patreon.com/studio2105. Is it better to record electric guitars in mono or stereo? How do I handle stereo effects and a DI track at the same time? Before I answer this question, I'd like to take a minute to think about this question from a pre-production point of view. Now, it's very easy, okay, to tell you to, oh, you should do this, don't do that, you should use this, don't use that. It might help solve the immediate question of the how and the what to do, but it does not address the root question of why you want to do it. What I want to do on this channel is I always want to get you guys right out there to think about the why, to think about the reasons, right? And let that guide your decisions on how and what to do. Start by thinking about how you want the final sound to be. Is it going to be, are the guitar parts going to be mono? Is it going to be a double track stereo? You pan one hard left, hard right? Is it going to be a mono track and you put an ambient mic? How do you do that? Listen to reference tracks, okay, and identify the types of effects that is being used, whether it is mono or is it something, or is it a stereo effect. Now, once you have an idea of what you want to hear, then you can select the tools to apply in your recording and in your mixes. So with that out of the way, let's get down into the details. An electric guitar part played through an amp is naturally, it's a mono sound source. And because of that, my preference, if it's a mono sound source, I will record it in mono. Now, if it's a stereo sound source, like for example, we're recording a drums or an ensemble, a string section, something a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, then naturally that's where I'll put up a pair of microphones and record in stereo instead. The simplest method is to take a single dynamic mic or even a condenser if you have one, and simultaneously record a clean DI track along with it. This gives maximum flexibility later down the line because the DI track, you can always use it for either reamping, you can run it through a software, a VST, a amp simulator, or run it through some plugins, right, or plugin effects, right, in the DAW. For this to work, you will need a DI box. Do check out this video that I did previously on the topic of DI boxes. And you will need an audio interface with a minimum of 2 input channels. Now, if you have more inputs available, it will open up more possibilities. Obviously, you can start, using 2 or more mics on the guitar amp, right? Multi-micing it. Or you can add an additional ambient mic for a little bit of the room sound. When it comes to effects, I am a firm believer in committing to a sound. There's an organic quality to capturing, the way a guitar sounds in the room. And for a guitar player, right? I myself a guitar player, the feeling, the response when I play, right, in front of an amp during a recording, has got so much better vibe than recording a dry, boring sounding track. I'll work to dial in the sound right at the amp itself, and if I have any pedals, the amount of drive, the tone, the type of effects, okay, nail it, dial it on the pedal itself, and without any fear, without any worry, because of the earlier mentioned DI track that I have that will function as a so-called, right, a safety net. I strongly encourage all you folks out there, right, to be aggressive in recording. Commit to the sounds, work without fear, trust your ears, Make those decisions. Doing this as an exercise is going to improve your recording skills. It's going to improve your skills as an audio engineer. And all of this is going to in turn improve your skills when it comes to mixing. But what about stereo effects, you might ask, okay? Now, many amp sims, multi-effects units, some effect pedals also have stereo outputs. And what if you want to capture the particular sound that's coming from that effect? Now, yes, you definitely can, especially as I mentioned, if it's a very, very specific sound that you can't recreate with other effects or plugins in software. Now, obviously, you are going to need 2 inputs at minimum again. Once more, 3 or more would be better, it would be ideal, because otherwise you will be left with one of 2 choices. Number 1, you will either have to sacrifice the DI track if you want to capture the stereo, or you can have to record a single DI track, then reamp back, route that back out into the effects unit. The second method is unfortunately going to take more time, as everything has to be done in real time. Of course, you have to plug it out, you have to play that signal back to the amp and capture it again. This is perhaps where VST amp sims will have a clear advantage over hardware. Now, a word of caution regarding stereo effects. Stereo effects, they give a sense of width, that lush quality, and that makes it very attractive and very pleasant sounding when you listen to it in isolation, when you listen to it by itself. Now, in the context of a mix, having a lot of these stereo tracks and stereo parts will very, very quickly fill up the mix. It's going to fill up the space. It's going to be counterproductive instead. Now, it's actually very, very common for mixers to actually use mono effects, mono reverbs, a mono delay, as it results in a much more focused sound. A mono part, be it dry or with effects, if you pan it to one side, has actually a better definition. It's got much more defined and a clearer sense of depth, and a much more clearer sense of stereo imaging as well. You want to find out examples of how I use all these effects and what I do in the mixes, do check out previous episodes on MixStream. Just click on it, it'll take you to the playlist. Speaking of which, I've been asked this question a couple of times before. Why don't I own an amp sim such as a Kemper, an XFX, or similar hardware devices? For me, the answers are simple. As amazing as they sound, technology that's based on software and algorithms will always become obsolete when the next best thing comes around. Okay, as a business person, it doesn't make sense to spend money on gear that's going to go out of date a couple of months or 1 or 2 years down the line. You just take a look at all the secondhand gear sites and the FB groups like Jamtang and all that. You know what I mean. Secondly, I feel it is more value to my clients that they get to record with real guitar amps, with mic-up speaker cabinets, good quality analog front end gear. Now, the experience and the feeling of recording with a roaring 100-watt amp and a 4x12 inch cap, it's like no other, okay? And it makes for a great story to tell later down in life, okay? Last but not least, it gives the bands a unique sonic identity. And this is my opinion, okay? Bands that use amp sims tend to sound a lot like each other. They all sound alike. And unless it's your goal to have a generic, albeit, yes, I do admit, a very, very good guitar sound, recording with a real amp is the way to go. Ultimately, it's not the gear, but it's the music that matters, okay? And going into endless debates about, a real amp versus amp sims versus digital amps is really something that's best left for online forums. It's not something I'm going to cover in my videos and on this channel. Now, if you want to learn a lot more in depth about recording guitars and a whole bunch of other related topics, I do suggest checking out the Direct Access Music Production Workshop playlist. This was a workshop that I did last year and I recorded all the sessions. Do check it out, okay? It's going to be floating somewhere up here. Click on it, it'll take you to that playlist. So there you have it. I hope you found the information in this video useful, helpful, helpful and informative. If you did, please do leave a like. Do share this with your friends as well. And if you haven't done so, please do become a subscriber. Click on the subscribe button. Don't forget, click on the bell also to be notified of new videos on this channel. Thank you so much. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions or if you have feedback, you have some opinions, on what you would like to do, right, when it comes to recording guitar, whether do you prefer to record mono, whether you record stereo, you have any tips or tricks that you would want to share with all of us, right? Let me know in the comments down below. Till next time, see you again in another video real soon. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, happy recording and mixing. Peace, love, and music.